Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm going to be doing a wee bit of a check-in and reflection of my first half of the year of reading and setting some new goals for the second half of my year. Fairly simple, hopefully we should be in and out fairly quickly, and I just kind of wanted to set some new goals and work towards some things, and the best way for me to actually achieve the goals is to put it out there in the public, because if I don't, I will forget and or find a way to avoid working towards said goals. I'm actually going to give just a quick few stats to show you where I'm at for my reading. At the end of June, I had completed 67 books. 58% of them were adult, 28% YA, and 12% middle grade. So for the genre breakdown, I thought was pretty revealing, and honestly, I thought I had been doing better for certain goals than what I had been, so this is why the breakdown is a good thing. But 58% of all of my reading is fantasy, which is not surprising at all, but the thing that is surprising is the next category is 13% at sci-fi. So I have nothing in between. That's 58% fantasy, 13% sci-fi, 8% romance, 6% nonfiction, and 4% contemporary, and 11% is just other. Something that I'm actually really happy about is currently about 55% of the books I have read are by an author of color. And there have been really interesting discussions as of late or over the past year as if you should track like the ethnicity of or the race of an author that you are reading from, like, because sometimes it can get real like checklisty, like checking off a box, oh yeah, we're good, I'm done. But me actively tracking that has actually been a good thing, because last year I remember thinking that I had read a lot more widely, especially in terms of author's race, than what I had. I think I only was around, I don't know, like 33 to 38%, and frankly I didn't think that was an acceptable number for me, especially thinking that I had done that. So I have been kind of keeping an eye on it and actively tracking it, and it's proven to do me good. I'm actually happy with that. It could always be higher, but I am happy with that. So a good chunk of my goals I have already succeeded in, or are on the path to succeed if I keep at the pace I am going. I wanted to focus on reading novellas, which I have been doing okay on. I think I've read 7 out of the 10 I wanted to make myself read, so we're good with that. I wanted to read a couple arcs and actually sort of reach out and actively use NetGalley. I've read 8 of them already, so I am set to complete that. Nonfiction is what I have fallen a little bit behind on. I wanted to read 10 by the end of the year, and currently I'm sitting at 4. In the month of July, I will be reading 2, so that'll kind of get me a bit more even, but I DNF'd a nonfiction book, so that kind of put me behind that goal. Another goal I'm kind of behind on is reading books by Indigenous authors. I wanted to focus on that, or just look into reading more books by Indigenous authors. I haven't done very well in the past. This year I've only read 2 so far. I have a list of some that I want to read. I have one specifically burning a hole in my TBR that I will try and read, I think, next month. But yeah, I feel like I've dropped the ball on that, and because I've read 67 books already this year, so I feel like it should be higher than just 2. Like, that's not a great stat at all. I am actively failing at one goal, but this goal I think is kind of shifting. I think I'm going to allow myself to change it. Last year was the year of me reading my TBR, like actively really hard working on books that I have read, or owned, and actually reading those, because my read unread books wasn't very great, and I worked really hard. I really restricted my buying last year, and this year I wanted, when I wrote some of my goals here, was to get it to my TBR to 65% read, like all out of the books I own have read 65% of them. not quite there. I'm only at like 57%. I don't think it's changed a lot because I've bought a few more books than what I initially wanted to in the first half of the year, but I have indulged in some retail therapy when things have gotten a little tough / annoying, so I don't hold it against myself too much. So for my new goals, this is where I'm a little nervous because a lot of these goals don't really have so much to do with my reading, because for the most part I am fairly happy with how my reading is going. A lot of my newer goals have to do with my channel. I always write down a couple goals that I want to work toward. I don't know if I mentioned them in the video, but like one thing that I wanted to work towards was stepping up like my editing game, which ironically I did really early on into the year because I switched editors, and I don't think it's like phenomenally better by any means, but it has made my life easier using the new editing software that I do. So long story short is that a lot of things I want to branch out with and do are with my channel, and they make me nervous to put it out there. The very first thing I would like to work towards is to branch out or experiment a little bit with my content. Sometimes I get into not ruts, but very comfortable with the types of videos that I do, TBRs, reviews, wrap-ups, and sometimes tags. I don't really like push the envelope very often, and I would like to try and experiment and branch out a little bit, but it is because I am so disorganized for the most part that I don't have things planned enough in advance, and usually that sort of content takes a bit more forethought and planning. So I'm trying to organize a bit more with the channel and get ahead sort of so that I can experiment and do things. I would like to try my hand at some more recommendations videos, because this is honestly a whole video topic I could make on about like imposter syndrome. I have almost marked like 500 books on Goodreads as read. I know I've read more than that, and I don't post recommendations videos because I never feel like I've read enough or that I'm well versed enough in the genre or the topic to actually recommend things, and it's something I need to actively combat and actively work against and do some recommendations videos, because it's ridiculous. I'm a booktuber, a very review focused person. I feel like I can actually recommend stuff, but it's always the imposter syndrome that's holding me back. I'd also like to try my hand at a video essay or two. This one makes me nervous because there's a lot that has to go into it, not only the planning of the like argument, but the actual construction of the video essay, like using mixed media and not just talking to the camera. But there's one that's been swirling in my head about Percy Jackson ever since I reread the series earlier this year, and I really would like to try, but I'm a bit nervous. God, it's ridiculous to be scared to be doing this, but again, when you get comfortable doing something, it's really easy just to stick to it. I would also possibly like to actually start an Instagram, fully a bookstagram. That's it. I have tried downloading that app multiple times with multiple different accounts, and I've had problems with Instagram, so I've never like fully committed to it. I have a new account that I have not posted anything to as of yet. I literally have a friggin' VPN on my phone, and yet people I know are still suggested to me. So my recollection now is literally to obviously not have like contacts or anything, be able to access that, and anytime someone I know pops up onto my thing, like that I know in real life, I'm just blocking them so they can't see it because I don't want to go on private. I would like people in the bookish sphere to find me, but not in my real life. And so if you have any tips or tricks or whatever, I would love to know that down below, because I don't understand Instagram. I've never actively used it. I just like would have an account if like an author was doing like a live on something, and I would actually like to try it. Don't expect great photos from me, but I would just like to try something different, and everyone talks about it all the time, so I'd like to try it. The next goal I'd like to mention is the one that makes me the most nervous, because I suck at doing this, and I know it's honestly almost like a character flaw in real life, and so obviously it comes into my bookish stuff too, but I would like to be able to reach out and communicate with people and actually form friendships, connections, whatever it is. I have been doing booktube, I think I established like 4 years, and I have been so petrified of trying to reach out or communicate with people that I've just kind of like been in my own little bubble for 4 years, and I think it's high time that I try and fix it. This is definitely I would just like to be able to reach out and just try. Makes me very nervous and uncomfortable saying this out loud. But I know it's something I'm not good at. I know it's something I need to work on. The only like real reading goal I would like to work towards is reading more sci-fi. I was honestly shocked at how low the amount of sci-fi I've read this year is. It should be significantly higher. I always describe myself as an SFF reader, but really it's just an F reader. And then I will occasionally dabble with sci-fi. I've been discovering a few more channels recently that have an active emphasis on reading sci-fi, and I'd like to try. I want to try. I'm not promising very much, but I would like to make that average go up a little bit. Sometimes I still find sci-fi as a genre intimidating, because for some context, when I'm reading, I don't really picture anything. Like, it's just black that I see, but like in my brain, I know what's going on. Like, I can figure out what's going on. It's really a weird thing to describe. But when it comes to sci-fi and like the actual technical elements of like ships and stuff, I can't understand. Like, it just doesn't make sense in my brain what's going on. And it like all feels like it's going over my head. So I avoid reading sci-fi sometimes, especially like the space opera ship stuff. So I'd like to read more, hopefully. I'm not saying a crazy amount, but maybe like 10 in this half of the year, and I think I would be happier with that. Maybe a little bit more. Just thinking about it, I think I've read 9 sci-fis in the first half of the year, so I'd like to read more than that, maybe 15. But that's asking a lot from me, to be honest. This video was kind of rambly, all over the place, but these are my goals for the second half of the year. I'd really like to hold myself accountable, so I had to make this video. I had to put it out in the public. And if you have any tips or tricks on any of the things that I mentioned, I would really appreciate it, because it makes me uncomfortable sometimes. If you have any tips and tricks on like the, I guess, creation side of booktube, or how you navigate being a creator, navigating friendships, all that stuff, I would love to know, because I really like genuinely feel like a wee baby with this. Like, I know nothing. So anything is welcome at this point. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.